Shut up. Please stop talking. Will this person just shut up? My name is Jamie, and this is Horse Business Tips, and I want to share with you today my shut up story. I love telling stories, and I think there are so many parts and pieces of our life as it correlates to business that we can think about, share about, and encourage one another. I hope this encourages someone to become a better listener. I have been a serial listen to respond my whole life. Every time someone's talking, I'm like, what can I say next? What can I say next? I will share with you how I came to that revelation. But there are two types of listening: listening to respond and listening to understand. What type of listener are you? For me in my business as a young entrepreneur, I was making ground, I was setting up my systems, I was getting new clients, and some really good things were happening. But at a certain point in my business, things kind of plateaued a little, and I was like, man, I need to figure out what's the hiccup, right? What is this thing that's holding me back? Maybe I don't know enough about what I'm doing, like I still need to learn, maybe take some seminars, or is it something in personal development, or is it something within my niche that I still need to learn? So I went through all these things. And I said to a really good friend of mine, keep in mind, this friend does not own a business. She just knows me very well, but she's incredibly smart. And she's a person that I can hear from in a way that if they need to say something strong, I can hear from them. I can hear that from them without getting all aggressive and defensive and all of that. So I said to my friend, tell me something I'm horrible at. She didn't even think for 1 second. She's like, you're the worst listener I know. She's like, you're a horrible listener. And I was like, what in the world? I was like, you didn't even have to think about it. Like, she knew this fast. So I dug a little deeper and I was like, please, this hurts me, but please tell me more. That was a turning point in my business when I said, please tell me more. She says, Jamie, I know you. I know your heart. I know you love people. You never mean for people to feel belittled or unheard, but she's like, you do a lot. Now, not everyone, if I'm in a room of a bunch of extroverts, but when I get around introverts, she's like, you talk over them, even though what you're saying is like, I'm so excited for you and what's going on in your life. But she's like, you never slow down enough to then ask them some additional questions about what the topic is to make them feel heard. You make them feel like crap. And I was like, oh, golly, I never want to do that. Who wants to do that, right? But I also took lots of time and thought about how I was in high school and how I've always communicated with people. I have to be the one to make the change in my life as it pertains to listening. I had to learn to take that energy and think about how I am making other people feel when I'm speaking to them on the phone, in a group of people, whether they're an extrovert, whether they're an introvert, and start listening to understand instead of listening to respond. Here is my zero to hero story as it pertains to me learning to be a better listener. Yes, what my friend said hurt my feelings, but also I needed it, and I know she loves me, and so she didn't mean it to hurt me. She meant it to be brutally honest so that I could take a look in the mirror and be like, girlfriend, you need to stop listening to respond and you need to listen to understand. So I'm pretty sure it was on a New Year's Eve that I asked my friend this question, because obviously anytime there's a new year, it's a great time for reflection. So I went into January thinking like, how on earth do I teach myself not talk so much? Let me tell you what was so integral. I took sticky notes anytime I got on the phone or I went to an event where I had a notebook or something. And on these sticky notes, I just wrote to myself, shut up. I wrote shut up sometimes on the inside of my arm or the inside of my palm. I also started reading books about listening. And one of the cool things was start thinking about asking the other person open-ended questions and then being quiet. If you listen to anyone who's excellent at sales, who closes all kinds of deals and makes a lot of money, there's so much value in silence. So I'd get on the phone with a discovery call with someone. I would just say to them, what is your biggest challenge in business? And then just guess what? Shut up. I just shut up. And I started taking notes, and then they would say a lot of things that I needed to know. And then I would continue to ask open-ended questions. I will never forget this conversation ever. Keep in mind, I'd only been in business for like a couple of years. I had a few small clients, and I got on a discovery call with this gentleman in August. Now, I had met this gentleman in March, followed up with him. He was super busy, and he was in the pet industry. So I got on the phone with him. I was super pumped. I was like, had my shut up notes, 8 months later still. Be quiet, Jamie. Got on the phone with him, had a conversation like my normal discovery call, figured out all the things I need to know. At the end of the call, this gentleman says to me, "Can I tell you something?" And I was like, "Sure, anything." He's like, "I just need to share this with you because I feel like I just need to." I have traveled to Europe, all over America, New York. I've been in massive, massive meetings with the richest, fanciest people and businesses all over the globe. This call with you today, he said, I have never been in a business meeting where I have ever felt so heard in my life. I just said, "Oh, thank you so much." I wanted to gush and tell him I've been working on this for months and months. You're the first person to say you're doing it. He ended up becoming a client. And, he shared a few other things with me. And he just said, "I want to tell you in this day and age," and keep in mind, this is decades ago at this point now. And he said, "It's so important for people to listen to understand instead of listen to respond." And I was like, I know, right? If you are struggling with anything in your business as it relates to personal development in your life, it doesn't matter how stupid you might feel or what way that you kind of train yourself to not do a thing. Sometimes personal development is just teaching ourselves not to do something. And honestly, from that point on, my business doubled and tripled within that following year because I started listening to people. Even now, people will tell me, "Thank you for asking questions about my family or about my children. You remembered my horse's name." I really try to listen to understand because we all come up with these things in our lives that could be difficult. I hope that you can also have your own maybe shut up story, or maybe you have another personal development thing you're working on. So I just want to encourage you to just do that. Just keep getting better. It took me 8 months until someone realized, "Girlfriend, you actually are an awesome listener." But I will tell you this, still 15 plus years later, every day I still have to work on it. So if there is any way I can encourage you, feel free to leave a comment, feel free to connect with me. And as always, chase after your passion like it's the last bus of the night.